Hello guys, I am back again. Today I'm going to be revealing to you how this Yahoo boy who recently shot an Efcc officer that broke into his house to death is planning to win the case and walk free. I know by now you must have come across the news of the incident that happened in Anambra where an Efcc officer by the name of Salisu, this is him here, was shot in the line of duty. They were trying to raid an apartment, and when they barged into the house, the occupant of the house, said to be a medical doctor, actually fired some shots, and one killed this guy and his colleague was injured. But before I get into the details of what actually happened, I want you to kindly subscribe to my channel, switch on the notifications so you can get notified anytime I drop a content, and let's get the show on the road. So the name of this guy, his deceased now, is Salisu. He's from Sokoto State, but I think he works in Enugu and was recently seconded to Anambra to carry out an operation against some suspected internet fraudster. He was a superintendent assistant of Efcc, before his death. He was actually planning to get married after Ramadan, so he was about to wed. He had a fiancée before the sad incident happened. He was planning to wed shortly after Ramadan. So his team, like I said, was dispatched to confront some alleged Yahoo boys in Oka in Anambra State on Friday, midnight of Friday. And when they got there, they carried out a successful operation at the first location. They arrested a couple of guys that are suspected to be internet fraudsters, and they seized some exhibits from them, including credit card, lottery, vehicles, and some other gadgets to actually prove their case. It's still allegedly. These guys were just suspects, so they can still be innocent of whatever allegations they are levying against them. So they carried out the first operation successfully, and they now said they should go to the second location, and this is where the tragedy actually happened. After the first successful operation, they went to the second location. So this location has several apartments. It's like a big compound. It has so many buildings. In fact, according to a recent release by Efcc, they said the house has so many story buildings, and they've already arrested like 37 guys from the apartments, So they now told the gateman to point them to the place of the other suspect that they suspected to be an internet fraudster. So the gateman did. So when they got to the apartment of this suspect, he refused to open the door for them because to him, he wasn't sure whether they were robbers or kidnappers. So he refused. And Efcc, according to information available, said they identified themselves as operatives. They told him that we are Efcc operatives. Open the door, we want to search your house. We suspect you of being an internet fraudster. But this guy refused. So according to the information available, the Efcc team actually broke in. They smashed his door and they gained entrance into his apartment. This is according to information made available. So when this guy saw them, he opened fire, and unfortunately Salisu was the first person that led the charge. He opened fire on Salisu and opened another fire on his colleague. But unfortunately for Salisu, the bullet caught him at a very dangerous place, while the other guy was caught, I think, around the thigh or the left hand. I'm not sure. So Salisu was shot by this guy. He was seriously injured but was still alive. So they rushed him to a general hospital in Oka. Like I said, left leg, I want to believe, second operative. So they rushed him to a general hospital, but there were no doctors on ground. Another implication that our healthcare system is in a serious mess. Imagine rushing somebody to the general hospital of a whole town and you discover that there are no doctors on ground. So that's the case of Salisu here. He was dangerously injured and was quickly rushed to a general hospital. He was alive when they got to the general hospital, but unfortunately for him, there were no doctors on ground. That's how he fell victim of the system. And we've been saying this all the time that our healthcare system needs thorough revamping, because how can you explain this? That somebody is rushed to a general hospital and the whole general hospital does not have any doctor on ground. So he was then rushed to another one. But before he got there, he had already lost too much blood and he was confirmed dead at the second hospital. The golden time had already passed. If they had met some doctors on ground at the general hospital, probably Salisu would still be alive today, recuperating from his hospital bed. But unfortunately, the system happened to him and now he's dead. So now they said the suspect is Nnamdi. He's a medical doctor, but according to another statement by the Efcc, they said he only sells medical devices and maybe codes online. That's what they are claiming. So we don't even know now whether the guy is actually a Yahoo Boy or a medical personnel, but they said they suspected him of being a Yahoo Boy. But according to the other information, he's into medical devices and the likes. So after the shooting and killing of the Efcc, Efcc operative, he threw the gun, the murder weapon, into the bush. Maybe out of panic or scare, he threw the gun into the bush and ran into the ceiling. He claimed that the gun is licensed to his father, but the question is, the gun is licensed to your father, but you were in possession of the gun and you actually discharged a bullet through it. So he ran into the ceiling, and from there he crawled into the ceiling of the neighbor. Eventually he was arrested at the end of the day, but the deed had already been done. So he's currently now in custody. So according to the security agencies, they said he's likely to face murder charges. He has already killed somebody and injured another person. So definitely know that the last line of action for the security agency is to actually sue him for murder charges. And they've recovered the murder weapon from the bush. So now they have the murder weapon in their possession and the culprit. Whereas Salisu was later flown out of Akwa Ibom and has now of Anambra, and he has now been buried in Sokoto. That's actually the sad end of this guy. Now, so many people have been debating online that the action of the suspects was justified. Some are of the opinion that he went overboard, that he shouldn't have done that, and things like that. There are so many divided opinions online. And now, according to my research, I'm getting to know that this guy is actually perfecting his plan through a robust legal means to actually win this case and walk free. You want to ask me how he plans to do this? Don't be in a rush. I'm going to be itemizing all the things he has put in place to actually ensure that he walks free from this case, regardless of who is prosecuting him at the end of the day. And you will agree with me that if you have a solid legal team and solid arguments, there is no case too big to be beaten. It happens in the US, it happens everywhere in the world, so Nigeria can't be an exception. If you have a robust legal team and a solid argument, definitely you are going to win any case and walk free. And this is what this guy wants to do, and he's going to be approaching it under some angles, from some angles. His plan to win the case. Now let's go there. The first thing is, he wants to leverage on the current insecurity in the Southeast. We know that the Southeast is facing a pandemic of insecurities, kidnapping, IPOB issues, ESN issues, and so many other security challenges in the Southeast, and most importantly, Oka in Anambra State. So this guy is trying to see how he can leverage on this situation to make a case for himself. Like I already said, he was of the opinion that he wasn't sure whether these operatives were robbers or kidnappers. And you would agree with me that his fears were valid if you look at it from the reality on ground in the Southeast. You can never be too sure whether robbers or suspected kidnappers just found the way of getting a red outfit that mirrors that of an EFCC official, and they are at your gate knocking to post like EFCC officers. So nobody can be too careful in that case. So this guy is going to be leveraging on that to make a case for himself that he wasn't sure whether truly those that came to his house were EFCC operatives or people pretending to be EFCC officers, whereas they were robbers or suspected kidnappers. So that's one of the arguments this guy is going to be putting up in court. I don't know how he's going to scale through, but it's a solid grant if you ask me. You all know it's a general knowledge that the insecurity in the Southeast is at an all-time high. In fact, in a recent research, it was said that the amount of ransom paid in the entire Southeast in 2024 is the highest in the country. That's to show that insecurity is that bad in that zone. So this guy is planning to leverage on that to prove to the prosecuting judge that his fears were valid and he had the right to protect himself. Another thing is that he wants to argue that the gun is licensed, and if the gun is licensed, he has a right to use it. But I don't know much about law, but this is an argument he's trying to use. His father has already gone to the police station, like I said, to write a statement that the gun was licensed to him. And then what the issue now will now be is it right for him to use a gun licensed to his father at that particular point in time? If it is valid, that means he has a case. And I want to believe there are some ways his legal team can actually work around the technicalities and make it cool that he actually has a point in that case. I don't know how it's going to happen, but this is another strong angle that this guy is planning to use. And if he can succeed in these two, I bet you this guy is going to likely walk away a free man. The third one is he wants to claim unlawful entry at others. You know, like I told you, the operation was conducted in the middle of the night, and he can claim that the feasibility was poor and that maybe they didn't come with a warrant of search, a search warrant. And if that is the case, it may prove to be a valid point for this guy. And if he claims that the entry to his house was unlawful and he can back it up, I believe he has a solid case. Because if it is established that those guys were actually working without a warrant, a search warrant, or working under the approval of their office, you know, that's a loophole that this guy can exploit, and he's planning to use that when they forcibly entered his house without his express consent, and that's tantamount to unlawful entry. And even the time that they entered, we know that majorly that's the period criminals operate. So he may be planning to leverage on those two things to say he wasn't sure whether they were criminals truly or they were acting based on authorized approval from their office. That's not the only point that he's planning to use. The fourth one is he wants to claim self-defense, and in this case I think he may have a ray of hope, because now he's planning to argue that there is high insecurity in the Southeast, that the gun is licensed, and that the entry was unlawful and the time of operation was odd. To now cap it up, he wants to leverage on this self-defense. So if he can successfully establish this aforementioned three and now seal it off with self-defense, believe you me, it's a solid ground for his discharge and acquittance. You know, if he can prove those three, he will just use this one to nail the coffin. Because if these three can be established, definitely they will see that his action was in self-defense. Maybe he was panicked by their sudden entry into his house and he acted out. I don't know how the law works. I'm not speaking for him. I'm not speaking as somebody that is grounded in law. I'm just suggesting and inferring based on what I've heard that he's likely going to use to defend himself in this one case. So these are the 4 cardinal points that this guy plans to use to win this case. Whether he's going to walk free or not is going to be predicated on these 4 strong arguments that he plans to put up in the court of law. I don't know whether he's going to be able to prove any of them, but if he succeeds, definitely there is enough reasons to believe that he's eventually going to walk away a free man and going to be discharged. But it was a sad situation in its entirety. I believe it could have been prevented if everything was done right. I don't know whether it's justifiable to blame either of the parties. Just believe all will be well, and this is not a good look for our country. We don't pray that our security operatives continue getting killed in the line of duty. It's painful, it's sad, it's even worse because this guy was planning his wedding. I wonder how the fiancé is feeling now. It's a sad news in its entirety, both for the victim and for the suspect that is currently in custody, because even if eventually he's going to walk away free, he's going to be facing a whole lot of legal battles, because now he is not fighting an individual, he's fighting against an institution and by extension the government. I wish him luck. I don't see how he's going to wiggle his way out, but if he has a solid legal team, maybe he stands a chance. But before he even gets free, he's going to see hell, because I don't think whether he's going to be put on bail or something. I don't know whether it's a bailable offense at this point. If it is not, that means it's going to be behind bars till the conclusion of this case, and we know how long legal cases can be in Nigeria. You know, the technicalities, the ups and downs and the likes. I don't wish something like this even on my worst enemies. I wish all of them luck. I pray we will continue doing better as a country, and this is a lesson for everybody. Please let us all be guided. It's not worth it. The stress that this guy is going to go through is not going to be worth it at the end of the day. Well, that's all I have to say today. I hope you've learned one or two things from this episode, and I pray for the repose of the soul of this guy. May God grant him paradise. And I send out my heartfelt message to the fiancé also. It is well with her. Till we meet again, sometimes maybe tomorrow, kindly subscribe to my channel, switch on the notification, and always be at alert for my content. Till we meet again, thank you and bye.